Today we're covering STAAR Review number 8. Number 1 says 1 inch is about 2.54 centimeters. The length of Yuan's math book is 10.5 inches. What is the approximate length of her book in centimeters? They have given us 3 numbers. And they're also giving us a rate. Those are indicators that we need a proportion. Our first fraction should be the first rate that they gave us. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. And since the other number is inches, it needs to go on top with the inches. And then we can think, what would we do to 1 to get to 10.5? We would multiply by 10.5. So that's what we need to do on bottom, is multiply by 10.5. So 2.54 times 10.5. When you get to this second 0 that you're multiplying, it's all going to be 0. Don't forget to put down 2 zeros when you get to the 1. And then we need to move the decimal over 3 spaces. So my final answer is 26.67 centimeters. Number 2. Janelle drew line KL in an isosceles trapezoid FGHJ to create similar trapezoids FKLJ and KGHL. Based on the information, what are the values of Y and W in centimeters? Well, Y is here and W is there. So these are 2 separate problems. We need to figure out what the relationship is between the 2 trapezoids. And if it's a similar trapezoid, we can set up a proportion. Many of the problems that we do can set up a proportion. So I'm looking at this little trapezoid up top. And I see measurement 3. So this is the little trapezoid. On the big trapezoid, that measure matches or corresponds to measure 9. So if this is an isosceles trapezoid, that means that this side is the same as this one, just as this side will be the same as this one. So 5 on the little trapezoid should match with Y. Then we can look for a relationship, like what would we do to 3 to get to 9? We'd multiply times 3. So if I do that on bottom, that means Y equals 15. Now we have to set up another proportion to figure out for W. So we already figured out that 3 matched with 9. Now, imagine that's 9 on the little trapezoid. You're not looking at the big one, just the little. If it was 9 on the little trapezoid, then that should match to W on the big trapezoid. And just like before, we look for the relationship. What would we do to 3 to get to 9? We multiply times 3. So if I do that on bottom, W should equal 27. Number 3, Sam purchased 5 goldfish and an aquarium with a rectangular base. The aquarium measures 24 inches long, 8 inches wide, and 10 inches tall. Sam fills the aquarium with water so that 1 inch of the space remains at the bottom. How many cubic inches of water are in Sam's aquarium? Okay, so they're talking about cubic inches. Cubic inches is volume. Volume is in cubic. And the formula for volume of an aquarium that is rectangular is capital letter B stands for area of the base times the height. So we're going to have to plug in a different formula where the capital letter B is based on what the base is. And the base is a rectangle. So the formula for area of a rectangle is base times height. So everything else is the same. Base times the height of the aquarium. Let's plug in the numbers. So the base of the aquarium says it's 24 inches long. And it says it's 8 inches wide and 10 inches tall. So the 10 inches tall is probably the height. And the 8 inches would need to go down there. Times the height, which is 10. But we do need to fix something. It said something about there's 1 inch of space remaining at the top. So we need to take away 1 inch from the top. So it's not going to be 10, it's going to be 9. He's leaving space at the top. And then we can work the problem. 24 times 8 times 9. 1,728 cubic inches. Number 4. Ford's construction company constructs a set of steps for a front porch. The side view of the plans is shown below. If each step has the same length and height, what is the area of the view shown in the plans? So we're trying to find the area of this picture right here. Let's start with this bottom step. So the side is 4 and the top is going to be the same each time. So each one of these is 5. And it looks like if we take it apart here, it's going to make 4 rectangles. And the formula for area of a rectangle is base times height. So this bottom step means I'm going to multiply 5 times 4 to find the area. But the next step is a little bit taller because this is 4 and this is 4. This is still 5. So it would be 5 times 8 because it got 4 foot taller. The next one is going to be 5. Remember, this is 4 and this was 8. So 4 plus 8 makes 12. So this one, 5 times 12. And then the last step is 4 more feet taller. So it'll be 5 times 16. So we work all those problems and then add them up. 5 times 16 is 80. 5 times 12 is 60. 5 times 8 is 40. And 5 times 4 is 20. And then we go back and add them. $200 feet. Number 5. June is putting oak veneer, a thin wood covering, on the entire surface of her hope chest. How much veneer will she need? Okay, if we're covering a surface, that's surface area. So we're trying to find the surface area of the entire hope chest. So let's start with this side right here that we can see. Since all the shapes are rectangles, the formula will be base times height. So this would be, and I know you like to change them to decimals, so let's just go ahead and change it to a decimal. That would be 2.25 times 3.5. But don't you think that this side is probably the same as that one on the back that we can't quite see? So this will be times 2 plus, let's do the side on the left. This side. So the bottom is 5.25, and the height of this is going to be the same as the other one. So 5.25 times 3.5. And just like before, this side here is probably the same as this one over here on the right that we can't really see. So we need to multiply times 2. And we have one more. It's the one on top. So how wide is this? Probably the same as this. So it's going to be 2.25 times, how long was this? 5.25. And again, the one on top is probably the same as the one on the bottom, so that's going to be times 2. So this is my long equation. And 2.25 times 3.5 is 7.875. And then we have to multiply that times 2. So this first part is 15.75 plus the next one, do what's in parentheses first, 5.25 times 3.5, you get 18.375. Then you have to multiply times 2. And then the last section is 2.25 times 5.25, and you get 11.8125, and you have to multiply that times 2, and you get 23.625. I didn't round anything. Be careful with the decimals. Then we have to add those back up, and we get 76.125, and that's feet square. Number 6, a billboard displays a large picture of a tire drawn to scale. The actual tire has a diameter of 40 inches. The scale used for this picture is 1 3/4 feet equals 2 inches. What is the diameter of the tire in feet on the billboard? There's a rate. I also noticed there's 3 numbers in this problem, so that's an indicator we're going to need a proportion. So I start with the rate that they gave us, 1 3/4, which would be 1.75 feet to 2 inches. So the next number is going to be 40 inches. It needs to line up with the other inches. Now what would I do to 2 to get it to 40? What would I multiply times? 20. So I need to do that on top. 1.75 times 20. And I got 35 feet. 35 is the answer. Number 7, the circular opening of a tunnel has a circumference of 36 meters. Write an equation to be used to find d, the diameter of the tunnel opening in meters. So they're not wanting you to work something out. They want an equation. And we're talking about circumference. So we need the formula for circumference. On your chart, there's two formulas for circumference. Since they are talking about diameter, we want to use the equation that has diameter in it. And they gave us the circumference, which is 36. So underneath the C goes 36. And I don't know either one of those. If they're wanting us to write an equation to find D, then I need to get D by himself. The way to get D by himself would be to get rid of the pi. To get rid of pi, we're going to divide, because the opposite of multiplying would be dividing. And when I do that, then the pi's cancel. And so on this left side, we have 36 over pi equals diameter. That's the equation they're looking for. Number 8, use the ruler provided to measure the diameter of the coin shown below to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. Tenth of a centimeter are those little tiny marks on the sides of your ruler. So if you measure the diameter, which goes all the way from one side to the other, you should get 2.4. Question asked, what is the area of the coin rounded to the hundredths? So area is pi times radius squared. Now, you can use the number 3 for pi, since we are rounding. And then it'll be radius. Radius is half of the diameter. So what would be half of 2.4? 1.2. And then we need to take that and square it. That means 1.2 times 1.2. So I'm going to work that over here. So then we have 1.44 times 3. So this is about 3.32. However, if you rounded pi to 3, which is okay because we're just estimating, then you need to pick the answer choice that is closest to 3.32. Number 9, the graph represents the linear relationship between the number of books Layla has read and the number of months she has been a member of a book club. Which of these statements is supported by the rate of change in this relationship? The key to getting this one correct is to read the labels. And remember, we put the rate y over x. So for this first dot, that's going to be 3 books to 2 months. The next dot they have on there is 6 books and 4 months. So choice A says Layla read 2 books in the first 3 months. Nope, looks like they mixed up the labels. The next one says 3 books in 2 months. That one is what we have. The next C says 3 books in the first 4 months. No, it was 2 months. And D says Layla read 4 books in the first 3 months. Well, we could try to connect it because it says it's linear, but in 3 months, looks like it would be higher than 4. So that one's not correct either. The correct answer is B. Number 10. A recipe says to use 3 cups of flour to make 48 cookies. What is the constant of proportionality that relates the number of cookies made, Y, to the number of cups of flour used, X? And if you look on your STAAR chart, it will say that constant of proportionality is K equals Y over X. The K is supposed to stand for constant of proportionality. We need to put the Y on top, and according to this problem, the Y is the cookies, which is 48. And X is the flour, 48 over 3. And we need to simplify that because that is an improper fraction. So 48 divided by 3 is 16. The constant of proportionality is 16. Number 11. The box plots show the length of the songs on 2 digital music players in minutes. Which statement is best supported by the information in the box plots? Choice A says the interquartile range of the data for music player X is equal to the interquartile range of the data for music player Y. To find the interquartile range, we look for those middle dots and subtract. So for this one, it was 6.5 minus 4.5, which is 2. And for the other player, the dots were 5 and 4. And 5 minus 4 is 1. So for player X, it was 2, and for player Y, it was 1. Those are definitely not equal. The next one says the interquartile range of the data player for X, we already figured out that was 2, is greater than the interquartile range of the data for music player Y, which we already figured out was 1. So is 2 greater than 1? Yes, that might be our choice. C says the median length of the songs on music player X is equal to the median length of the songs on music player Y. Median is the middle, so we just have to look for the middle dot. So on player X, it's 5. On music player Y, it is 4.5. Are those equal? No. The next one says the median length of the songs on music player X, which we already know is 5, is less than the median length of the songs on music player Y, which we already know is 4.5. So is 5 less than 4.5? No. So the correct answer is B.